All right, so gold, huh? Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, it's
I mean, look at today.
yeah.
$2,830.07 an ounce.
It's a new record.
That's crazy. And we gotta deep dive on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
We found this article and it's in Spanish.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
we had to get it translated.
I see.
And
Makes sense.
but it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It lays out all these reasons why gold is
What are they saying?
well, they're talking about how gold could hit $3,000.
Oh, wow.
And it all kind of makes sense when you really break down
Yeah,
what's going on.
What are some of the big things?
Well, first of all, they talk about Trump's trade wars,
Okay.
which, I mean, how could you not?
Yeah, always a factor.
It's like every time he tweets a tariff threat,
Right.
the price of gold jumps up a
Yeah.
little bit. But the article does a good job of explaining, like, not just like the headline,
Right.
but like
the mechanics behind it.
like what's actually happening.
Yeah, what's actually happening in the market.
Like economically,
Right.
And they talk about how,
Mm-hmm.
when you've got all these tariffs flying around between the U.S. and China,
Sure.
and then even like threats towards the EU,
Right.
it makes businesses nervous.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're like, okay, where do we put our money?
Yeah.
Where can we protect our capital?
Right. And historically, gold has been that safe haven.
Yeah, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
not just a safe haven. It's like
an insurance policy.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, against
It's-
bad decisions.
Yeah, against like bad policy,
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
It's like, unlike stocks or bonds that
Right.
are tied to a specific company
Right.
or a specific government,
Exactly.
gold is like,
It's sort of
that's universal.
It's universal thing.
Yeah.
It's just like
Just gold.
it's gold, right?
Mhm.
It's held its value.
For centuries, for
Oh, yeah.
millennia, really.
Yeah, exactly. For like
Yeah.
centuries.
Regardless of
It doesn't matter.
who's in charge.
Yeah, like who's the president or
Ugh.
who's running whatever.
Right.
Gold is gold.
Gold is gold. Yeah.
But what's interesting is the article also mentions how the tariffs on Mexico,
Oh, wait.
they got paused
Mm.
after those agreements with Claudia Sheinbaum.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how.
how does that fit into
Yeah.
the gold picture?
Well, I think it just shows how sensitive the markets are to all these
Yeah.
trade tensions.
Yeah.
Even a temporary resolution can send
Yeah.
ripples through the system.
Right.
And when investors see that kind of volatility,
Yeah.
they often retreat to the stability of.
They just wanted something stable.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
is it really like,
Every time Trump tweets a tariff threat,
well, not gold goes up?
not quite that direct, but
No.
I think the sentiment is definitely there.
Right.
But to be fair,
Yeah.
it's not just Trump driving this, right?
Right. Yeah.
The article makes a good point about
Yeah.
highlighting this broader trend
It's not just Trump.
of global instability.
It's the whole world's a little
Yeah, the world's wonky right now.
shaky right now. And they point out that gold is up over 7%.
Already this year.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
But last year,
27%.
it jumped 27%.
That's huge.
It's crazy.
It's a big jump.
And it's been climbing.
Well, and the article even points out that this upward trend,
Right.
it really started back in October of 2023.
Really?
Yeah, you can almost trace a timeline
Wow.
of global anxieties
Yeah.
through the price of gold.
Interesting.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, but I mean, so we've got trade wars. We've got global instability.
Right.
What else is pushing gold higher?
Well, there's one more major player in this game,
Okay.
and that's the U.S. dollar.
Oh, okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting because gold and the dollar have this
What? They're like
fascinating.
they're like enemies?
Well, not enemies.
Okay.
But they definitely have this push and pull relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like gold versus the dollar.
It's more like two sides of the same coin.
Interesting.
Well, gold bar in this case.
Right. So
Yeah.
they're connected.
They're connected. Yeah.
How?
Well, they often have what we call an inverse correlation.
Okay.
When the dollar weakens, gold tends to strengthen.
So it's not just that gold is getting more valuable.
Right.
It's that the dollar is getting
The dollar's losing ground.
less of valuable.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it.
Okay.
A weaker dollar makes gold more appealing to international buyers.
Right.
They
Yeah.
suddenly have more buying power.
Yeah.
So demand goes up.
Mm-hmm.
The price follows.
So it's like a global auction, like global.
Everyone's bidding with different currencies.
Yeah.
And gold is the prize.
That's a good way to put it.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got trade wars making investors nervous,
Mm-hmm.
global instability,
Yeah.
adding fuel to the fire,
Right.
a weakening dollar making gold,
Cheaper for half the world.
cheaper for half the world.
Yeah.
No wonder it's hitting record highs.
Right.
But this article goes even further.
Yeah.
They're talking about this Bank of America prediction.
Oh, right. The $3,000. Yeah. $3,000 gold.
So they're saying
The central
banks are going to keep increasing their gold reserves.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not just like
Not just individuals.
individuals buying gold bars.
Yeah, it's countries.
It's countries stocking up. What do they know that we don't?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe they're seeing the same trends we've been discussing.
Mm.
The instability, the weakening dollar.
Right.
But
On a much larger scale.
on a larger scale.
And if they're right,
Yeah.
$3,000 might just be the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get too far into the future,
Sure.
let's walk back through
Okay.
this timeline
All
that
right.
the article lays out,
Right.
starting with October 2023.
October 2023.
What happened then?
Well, that was the Hamas attack on Israel.
Right.
That really sent a jolt through the markets.
Mm-hmm.
Gold jumped almost 54%
Wow.
in response.
Huge.
It was a stark reminder that
Yeah.
geopolitical events can have these really immediate and profound effects
Right.
on the price of gold.
On gold, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And then December 2020, December 23, gold broke $2,100.
wow.
Investors were clearly
Seeking a safe harbor amidst all this growing global uncertainty.
right.
Then
May 2024.
May 2024, things got really interesting.
Things got really crazy.
Yeah.
Tensions in Ukraine were escalating.
Yeah, we had that U.S. banking crisis.
We had the U.S. banking crisis.
Credit Suisse collapsing.
Thank Credit Suisse.
I mean, that must have really
That was scary.
shaken things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Oh, and how could we forget?
the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
In March of 24.
Yeah, March 2024.
That sent shockwaves
That was
through the global economy,
the big one.
which, as you can guess,
Yeah.
sent gold prices soaring.
Makes sense.
Looking back, it's almost as if
Yeah.
2024 was this
It was like a
turning point.
turning point.
Yeah, a year when
Yeah.
the anxieties that had been simmering for years finally just boiled over.
It just exploded.
Exactly.
And gold was there
And gold was there
to catch everyone.
to catch everyone as they
jumped ship.
jump ship.
It seems that way.
But it's important to remember,
Yeah.
gold also hit those $2,000 highs
Right.
back in August of 2020,
Oh, right.
right at the start of the pandemic.
At the start of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's like every time the world gets a little
Every time there's a wobble.
wobbly,
Yeah, gold is there.
gold becomes the go-to.
Right. But this time it feels different.
It does, doesn't it?
Feels like more than just a wobble.
And I think that's what makes this
Yeah.
deep dive so fascinating.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about a blip in the market.
Yeah.
We're talking about a potential paradigm shift,
It's like a
fundamental reassessment.
fundamental, yeah, like
What constitutes safe
yeah, we're reading
in a world that feels
what safe means.
increasingly unpredictable.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. And gold
And gold,
with its long history,
with its
tangible value.
tangible value,
It's like
seems to be offering an answer.
an answer.
That is it all just
It makes you wonder though.
fear-driven?
Is it all just
Like, are we all just running away from bad news?
yeah, are we just running away from bad news?
Right.
Or is it something more?
Yeah, is it something more than that?
Right.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
That's the question.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think to answer that,
I think we need to
we got to go back.
look back at those
Key moments from the past few years.
Yeah, like
The events that
what were those
sent gold soaring.
those specific events
Yeah.
that really move the needle.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go back to March 2022,
Okay.
right before the invasion of Ukraine.
Right before the invasion?
What was happening with gold then?
Well, right before the invasion,
Yeah.
gold was already flirting with record highs,
Rhea.
hitting $2,075.
Wow.
There was definitely a sense of unease
Whoa.
in the global markets.
So even before the tanks rolled in,
Uh.
you remember, the pandemic had just started to recede.
Oh, right.
And there were these lingering
yeah.
economic anxieties.
And so the writing was on the wall for gold.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
The invasion just amplified
Yeah, just
those existing anxieties.
I made it worse.
Sent gold on this
Yeah.
sharp upward trajectory.
It's like a pattern, right?
And that's a pattern we've seen repeat itself over and over.
Every time something bad happens.
Every major global event,
Yeah.
whether it's a conflict, financial crisis, even a pandemic,
Right.
it seems to push gold higher.
So it's not just a gold rush. It's like
It's a stampede. It's a gold stampede.
Yeah.
Everyone heading for the same safe haven.
Right.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah. What does that say?
What does it say about the state of the world
Yeah.
when so many people are
When everyone's so scared,
seeking refuge in a shiny metal?
they just want to hold on to something real.
Yeah, something tangible.
Yeah.
Something that's always going to be valuable.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've laid out the historical context.
Okay.
We've talked about
We've talked about the driver.
the drivers.
Yeah.
What does it all mean for us?
Right.
Like the average investor.
That's the key question.
Yeah. What do we do with this information?
I think the biggest takeaway here
Yeah.
is that we're living in a world
Yeah.
where traditional notions of safety,
Safety and
stability,
stability.
they're being challenged.
Yeah, those are
The old rules
the old rules are out the window.
don't apply anymore.
Yeah.
Investors are looking for alternatives.
And gold is that alternative.
Well, gold seems to be offering that alternative.
But is it that simple?
I don't think it's that simple.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's the answer,
Right.
but
It's not like a magic bullet.
it's certainly part of a larger conversation
Yeah.
about how we navigate
This new era
this new era
of uncertainty.
of uncertainty.
Right.
Gold can be a valuable tool
Okay.
for portfolio diversification,
Yeah.
for hedging against inflation,
Right.
and for preserving wealth in these volatile times.
So it's not just about fear. It's about
Right. It's about being
being smart
smart and strategic.
with your investments.
Exactly.
Right.
Gold shouldn't be seen as a get-rich-quick scheme
No, definitely not.
or a magic bullet.
Right.
It's a long-term play.
It's a long game.
Yeah.
A way to add resilience
To your portfolio.
to your portfolio.
And to potentially
storm
weather the storms
that are coming.
that lie ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of storms,
You know,
that Bank of America prediction
that $3,000
is
is still
looming large.
looming. Yeah.
$3,000 gold.
$3,000.
Yeah.
If that happens.
What would that tell us? What's that about?
What does that mean?
Well, it would suggest that
Yeah.
these factors we've been discussing.
Yeah. The geopolitical tensions,
Right.
the economic uncertainties,
Right.
the weakening dollar,
Yeah.
they're likely to
Means it's going to get
intensify.
worse.
It would signal a deepening distrust
Oh, wow.
in traditional financial systems
Yeah, people are losing faith.
and a growing appetite
Yeah.
for assets that hold their value,
Right. Like gold.
like gold,
Yeah.
regardless of what's
No
happening
matter what.
in the world.
Yeah. So $3,000
So that $3,000 mark,
is not just a number.
it's not just a number.
It's like a
It's a symbolic threshold,
yeah. It's
a
like
sign that we've crossed into
yeah. We've crossed a line.
a new era
a whole new.
of economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
You can interpret it that way.
Yeah. That's kind of scary.
It's a little bit scary, yeah.
But predictions are just predictions.
Predictions are just predictions.
Right.
Nobody has a crystal ball.
Yeah.
The future is always uncertain.
Right.
So,
Okay. So what should our listeners be
thinking about
They be thinking about?
as they're processing all this.
Right. As they're trying to make sense of this
Gold frenzy.
this gold frenzy. Yeah.
What questions
What questions should they be
should they be asking themselves?
asking themselves? Well, I would encourage them
Yeah.
to think about their own risk tolerance,
Okay.
their investment goals, and their overall financial strategy.
Right.
Gold can be a powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it's not right for everyone.
So it's not just about jumping on the bandwagon.
Right. It's about
Yeah.
making informed decisions
Right.
that align with
Your personal circumstance.
your personal circumstances. Exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
know yourself.
Know yourself.
Know your risk.
Know your risk
tolerance.
and make a plan.
Make a plan.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say
Yeah.
it's about staying informed.
Right.
Doing your research. Understanding the forces that are shaping the global economy.
Right.
Knowledge is power.
Especially
in times like these.
No. Okay, so real talk.
Okay.
Is it too late to get in on this gold rush?
Oh, that's the
Should we be running out
question everyone's asking.
to buy gold bars right now?
Well, that's a question only you can answer
Okay.
based on your own financial situation and risk appetite.
Right.
But I'll leave you with this thought.
Okay.
If gold is a reflection
Mm-hmm.
of global sentiment,
Yeah.
and that sentiment is increasingly one
Yeah.
of uncertainty
Uncertainty.
and anxiety,
Right.
then this gold rush might have further to run.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cryptic.
Just a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So before we go full gold crazy,
right.
let's bring it back to the listener.
Yeah, let's bring it back.
What
stood out to you in all this?
What stood out to you?
Yeah, what resonated with your own understanding?
Yeah, like markets.
What clicked?
Yeah, what clicked?
And most importantly...
And maybe even more importantly...
Yeah.
What does this gold rush tell you?
Yeah. What does it tell us?
About the state of the world. About the choices we face as investors and global citizens.
Right. It's a big question.
It's a big question.
It's like we're all trying to decipher this code.
Decipher this code.
Right.
The market's sending us.
Yeah, the market's sending us these signals.
And gold is like one of the loudest.
One of the loudest flashing red right now.
Yeah, it's like
it makes you think.
It's like a siren.
It does.
Like,
are we simply reacting to short-term anxieties?
Right.
Or
is there
a deeper shift?
A bigger thing happening in
how we view value and security.
Yeah, it's like
in the world.
It's a fundamental shift.
It really is.
Yeah. We were joking earlier about gold being like an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Against bad decisions.
But
the more we dig into this, the more that metaphor seems to hold true.
Yeah, it really does.
Doesn't it?
It's fascinating how something tangible like gold can become this potent symbol in times of uncertainty.
Times of uncertainty, yeah.
It represents stability, a store of value that's endured for centuries, a hedge against the erosion of traditional currencies.
That's like the original currency,
Original currency, yeah.
That's been around forever.
Has always been valuable.
Yeah, and it's not tied to any...
And it's not tied to any one country or government.
Yeah, it's like this universal language.
It's this universal language.
That everyone understands.
Yeah, everyone understands it.
No matter what's happening.
Regardless of...
That's political climate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so maybe...
But that universality
is not just
perhaps what's driving this global surge in demand.
It's a wake-up call.
Central banks,
it's like
individual investors.
The world is telling us.
They're all seeing the same...
Something.
Warning signs.
Yeah.
And reaching for the same anchor.
Like, the old systems are not working.
I think that's a very insightful observation.
Yeah.
And it raises some profound
paradigm shifts.
But the future.
Yeah. Okay.
What happens when trust?
I think we've given our listeners
and these traditional institutions
a lot to think about today.
Erodes.
Yeah.
What new systems of value will emerge?
Yeah, we've explored the historical context.
Big questions.
The drivers.
Big questions indeed.
And the potential implications of this gold rush.
I think we've given our listener plenty to chew on today.
So as we wrap up this deep dive...
Absolutely. We've explored the historical context.
The final thought.
The key drivers.
You want to leave our listener with?
And the potential implications of this gold rush.
Yeah.
Now it's up to each individual to decide what it means for them. Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final thought you'd like to leave our listener with? I would encourage them
final takeaway
to stay curious.
Okay.
To keep asking questions.
Right.
And to never stop learning.
Yeah.
About the forces that shape our world.
Right.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out.
Yeah.
Understanding the story of gold.
Yeah.
Can
teach you a
valuable insights into the larger economic landscape.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well said.
There.
Yeah.
We were talking about how gold hit these $2,000 highs.
$2,000 highs.
Back in August of 2020.
Right at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, right when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So is this all just history repeating itself?
Just a repeat?
Or is this time different?
Yeah. What do you think?
Something unique about this particular gold rush.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to say for sure.
Sure.
History often rhymes.
It does.
But it doesn't always repeat.
Yeah.
So there are definitely some parallels
to
previous gold rushes.
Right.
We've seen this.
We see that pattern.
Flight to safety.
Yeah. When things get bad.
When there's uncertainty.
People buy gold.
People turn to gold.
Right. But this time.
It feels
a little bigger.
bigger.
It feels like more global.
More global.
It feels like
more
bigger shift.
Fundamental.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
It's not just like...
I don't think it's just a reaction.
A one-off event.
To a single event. Yeah. Or
like a war.
Or a crisis.
Right.
I think it's a reflection of this deeper unease. This underlying
anxiety.
Anxiety about the direction.
About the future.
Of the world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and gold.
And I think gold is tapping into it.
It's almost like this ancient wisdom.
Yeah, this ancient wisdom. That's saying
things
that aren't
not
right. Be careful.
Yeah. So, okay. What do we do with that?
Yeah.
If gold is telling...
If gold is this...
The world's in trouble.
Canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
What do we do?
How do we
respond to that?
That's
a tough one.
Yeah. What are some things
I think the first step
people can do
is just to be aware.
Okay.
To be aware of what's happening.
Pay attention. Right.
Don't just bury your head in the sand.
Yeah.
Educate yourself.
Right.
Understand what's driving these trends.
Right.
And then you can start to make informed decisions.
About your own. Investments, about your own.
About expenses.
Yeah, about your life.
Right.
This is about more than just money. It's about
how we live.
In the world.
Right.
And the choices we make.
Yeah.
For ourselves and our families.
Okay. So be aware, educate yourself.
Be aware, educate yourself.
And then
make a plan. Right.
I think that's
a starting point.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Shape our world.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And understanding the story of gold.
Yeah. Can teach you a lot.
It can offer valuable insights.
Yeah.
Into the larger economic landscape.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well said. We were talking about...
We were.
How gold hit these $2,000 highs.
$2,000.
Back in August of 2020.
Right at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, right when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So is this all just history repeating itself, or is this time different? What do you think?
Is this just a repeat? Yeah. Is there something unique about this particular gold rush?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure.
Sure.
History often rhymes.
It does.
But it doesn't always repeat. So there were definitely some parallels.
Okay.
To previous gold rushes.
Right.
We've seen this flight to safety.
Yeah, when things get bad.
When there's uncertainty.
People buy gold.
People turn to gold.
Right. But this time feels bigger. It feels more global. It feels like a bigger shift.
But this time it feels bigger. It feels more fundamental.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
It's not just like a one-off event.
I don't think it's just a reaction to a single event or a crisis.
Like a war.
I think it's a reflection of this deeper unease.
This underlying anxiety.
This underlying anxiety about the direction of the world,
Yeah, and gold, it's almost like this ancient wisdom that's saying, hey, things
I think gold is tapping into that. Yeah, this ancient wisdom that's saying, things aren't right. Be careful.
Not right.
Yeah.
So, okay, what do we do with that if gold is telling us the world's in trouble?
So what do we do if gold is this canary in the coal mine?
Yeah. How do we respond to that?
That's a tough one.
Well, what are some things people can do?
I think the first step is just to be aware of what's happening.
Okay. Pay attention.
Don't just bury your head in the sand. Educate yourself.
Right. Understand what's going on.
Understand what's driving these trends, and then you can start to make informed decisions.
About your own investments, about your own life.
And about your own finances.
Yes.
About your life. This is about more than just money.
It's about how we live in the world.
It's about how we live in the world and the choices we make for ourselves and our families.
Okay, so be aware, educate yourself, and then...
And then make a plan.
Make a plan that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point, yeah.
All right, well, on that note, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
We have.
So until next time, happy investing.